Hello and welcome to Dish Shelved with Adam White. I've got another week of June on the Range for you. This week is The Deadshot Kid by Philip Ketchum. I read this in one sitting. It was a really good book, uh, great Western, and let me read you what it says about it here on the back. Here on the mesa, four men lay dead. They'd fought the trail herd all the way up from Texas, 2,000 saddle-weary miles, only to be met by a killer's ambush. The deadly riders came from nowhere, shot without warning, killed without reason, and drove off the herd. Now only Johnny Durango lived to mourn the deaths of his four friends, lived to swear vengeance, to even the score, even if it meant killing every man in this wild and untamed valley. So that's Johnny Durango's the main character, who a few people call the Deadshot Kid, which I'm never really sure why. I think they kind of make that up about him, trying to put him off as a scuzzy gunfighter type guy. Uh, because what happens is he and four of his friends have come up from Texas and they are moving a herd of cattle because they want to set up, and one of the friends, Ben, wants to set up a ranch and raise his cattle there in this good cattle land. And most of the people that were working with them have left by the last stop they made, and there's only the five of them left. They send Johnny Durango and one of the other guys off in two different directions to look for this valley they've been told about. And while they're out, the other guy that went off and the three guys that were waiting back with the herd are murdered. That's not giving anything away. It tells you that they're on the back, and that's all right in the first chapter or so. And they try to get Johnny Durango, but he's too fast for them, and he ends up killing both the guys that came after him. So then he goes back and finds that the other guys have been killed, and he knows he has to get revenge for them. So he had questioned one of the guys before he died that he shot, and he gets some names of people, and he decides he's going to go set out and find who's responsible for this, and get revenge on them for killing his friends because they killed his friends and they stole his cattle. It turns out that uh, the last, I think, winter had been very hard on everyone's cattle there, so everyone was down a lot of cattle. And so that was just an easy way for this one guy. I can't remember now for the life of me what his name was, maybe Bassett or something. Uh, that's the main bad guy who stole all these cattle because he wanted to restock his herd, and he didn't have to pay for him that way since he just murdered those guys. Well, he tries to put the murders on Johnny Durango. So Johnny has to sneak around and talk to people and try to get people to believe him that he didn't kill his friends and that this cattle rancher did and stole the herd. And the rest of the story is him trying to find ways to get people to believe him, to get the sheriff to believe him. There's some other ranchers that are against the main bad rancher, and it really is interesting because after a while, it's not your typical Western. They do some things in here that uh, strays a little bit from what you see in main Western, because usually the main character is the one that does everything and finds everything out, and all the action revolves around the main character. But in this one, he allows other people to do certain things and take care of certain things and find out things that he's not a part of. And it's a really interesting Western because of that. And it's just really different. And the things he does are different from the norm of a regular Western hero. And Johnny Durango's a really interesting character. And I thought it was an excellent Western. Uh, it had all the Western tropes in it that you love to see, but it had a little bit of a different spin on it. And the ending was also a little bit of a surprise too, because normally you see certain things happen in the end of a Western, and this one kind of played against type. And I really enjoyed that. I thought it made a really nice ending, and the secondary characters were well thought out. Excuse me. The secondary characters were well thought out, and you really got a good sense of them. Sometimes in westerns, they focus just on the main character and kind of have cardboard cutouts for some of the other characters, but the other characters in this you get a real sense of, even some of the really minor ones. So Ketchum did a really good job with that. Uh, the the storytelling was good. The pace was fast. Like I said, I read it in one sitting. It's not that long of a book. Like a lot of these westerns, it was also 1959, like last week's. So it fell prey to the small print to hurt my eyes to read, but I was so into it that I didn't hardly notice it at all. But really good book, really interesting. I'd highly recommend it. Uh, Again, it's one of those you're going to have to find secondhand. It won't be very expensive, but it's a really good book, and I highly recommend it. The Deadshot Kid by Philip Ketchum. And now for something completely different. This is Slam Dunk, a manga by Takahiko Inoue. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Like I said, you have to forgive me on these names. I try to get them right as I can. It's about a really tall freshman in high school named Sakuragi, and he is famous amongst his friends for being rejected in junior high 50 times by girls for dates. He can't get a date because people think he's too angry and gets into fights all the time. And so all the girls always turn him down. And he meets this new girl when he goes to high school, and she actually doesn't turn him down. She doesn't say yes, but she doesn't turn him down either, and kind of acts like she's kind of interested, even though she's really interested in this other guy, which he finds out and isn't very happy about. But he finds out that she loves basketball. Well, he doesn't know anything about basketball, but he says, "Of course I love basketball," because that's what she's interested in, and so he becomes interested in it too. Uh, for what it's worth, well, he has to go through all sorts of trials to try to get on the basketball team, and he takes on their captain one on one, and he just does a bunch of things that are against character for him to try to get on the good side of the captain of the team, because the captain of the basketball team is this girl's brother. And so he's trying to get in good with him because he wants to get in good with the girl. Uh, for being called slam dunk and not, which is something he wants to do. Uh, there's not a whole lot of basketball in this first volume. Uh, it's mainly him trying to get on the team and some practicing and stuff like that. But the main story is really about him trying to impress this girl and win her affections away from this other guy that's a good basketball star. Because uh, Sakuragi is doesn't know any of the fundamentals, and so he's trying to learn the fundamentals of basketball so he can play. Really interesting manga. Uh, I like basketball, and I like not playing it. I'm not any count at that, but I like watching it occasionally. And I like manga, so I thought this might be a good one to check out. It's a really popular manga. Originally, I think in Shonen Jump, uh, and it's a really popular one and ran for quite a while, I think. But I thought it was okay. Uh, I'm not a whole lot into the romance type of stuff, and it wasn't overly romance, but that was kind of the main point, was him trying to win the affections of this girl, which you'll see a lot in manga. But uh, I just I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was good. And if you have any interest in romance manga or basketball or just sports manga in general, then you'll probably get a kick out of this one. The characters are fun. The art's really good in it. Really excellent art throughout. And you get a good sense of the characters in it. He's real good at characterizations. And just, like I said, really good art. And I really think it was an above average read. So I liked it. I didn't love it, but if you like any kind of sports manga, then you'll probably like this. So hopefully, if you're interested, you'll give that a check out. But again, main thing: June on the Range, Philip Ketchum, the Deadshot kid. Really atypical Western, and I really think you'll enjoy it. Definitely give it a try. Uh, Thanks again to Michael K. Vaughn for running this great June on the Range program on BookTube. And thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I will see you next week.